Well, hello everyone, and welcome to AJ112 Introduction to Criminology. My name is Tony Farrar, and I am your instructor for this semester. So today's lecture is going to be the syllabus review, so let's go ahead and just jump right into it. We have a lot to cover, so I think we should go ahead and just get started. So starting at the top of the page, if you are following along, again, this is AJ112. The section number is 3519. This is Intro to Criminology. Of course, we are in the fall 2021 semester, and this is the online version of this course. Next, I have my instructor information. I am located on the Menifee campus in the 3000 building, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but here is the address to the Menifee campus, my office phone number, email, and Twitter information. Next, I have two links. The first to the MSJC Criminal Justice Club, their Facebook page, should you like to mingle with other students that are interested in a career in criminal justice, or even if you're not interested in a career in criminal justice and you want to just know a little bit more, they do certain activities and meetings and things like that, so you can check them out there. And then finally, I have a link to the career education website. And this is good because for a couple of reasons. First, it'll take you to a page where there's some information on online readiness and kind of assessing yourself. But most importantly, this website, this page will show you some different pathways through different aspects of criminal justice, whether you want your degree for transfer or just the AS degree or the certificate, etc. There's a lot of good information on which courses to take, which semesters, etc. So really important that you take a look at that and maybe even get with a counselor to help you kind of put your schedule together, if you will. So this is a really good website to give you some helpful information. All right, so I have office hours on campus. So again, I am on the Menifee campus in the 3000 building. My office is 3003. My office hours on campus are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10:20 to 11:20 in the morning, and then again from 1 to 2:30 in the afternoon. And then for online classes, every Wednesday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. in what I call Professor Farrar's virtual meeting room. And when we're done with this lecture, I'll take you to the course Canvas where there's some information on how to access Zoom, etc. I am also available at other times by appointment. Email is the best way to get in touch with me. If you do email me, please follow the example. Place your last name, the class, the section number, and the name of the course in the subject line. And you can see the example I have here. And the reason for this is because of the fact I teach several classes, this really is the best way to make sure that I know who you are and exactly which class you are in. All right, so it helps me figure out who you are quicker, and I can get that information back to you in a more expedient fashion if you do that for me. So that really helps me out. Also, all emails should come from your MSJC email account. Please don't use your personal account unless it's some type of an emergency, etc. If you are requested to submit a written assignment in Canvas, and you're going to be this semester, so this is important, please submit it in Microsoft Word. If you upload or submit a document in another word processing format like WordPerfect, or you submit it through a third-party resource like Google Docs, there's no guarantee that I can open it. If I can't open it, I can't read it. If I can't read it, I can't grade it. And if I can't grade it, I can't give you credit, right? So if you're going to submit in a different word processing format, convert that format into a PDF file, and then it will upload properly. But again, it needs to be uploaded directly into Canvas, not through another system like Google Docs, okay? And we'll talk a little bit more about that as the semester gets going. All right. This syllabus is what I call a living document, and therefore subject to change during the semester. I typically don't change a lot during the semester, but if I do, you will be made aware of any changes as they occur in the form of either an email or an announcement through Canvas. So make sure that you set up whatever electronic device you have, your cell phone, your iPad, your computer, to be able to receive those announcements and notifications, because that's really important as well. If you have any questions about the course or anything throughout the course, please email me. Please note that all assignments and due dates are in this syllabus. So it's your responsibility to read them and follow them to the best of your ability. I will remind you of assignments, but at the end of the day, it really is your responsibility to remember due dates of tests and quizzes, etc. Okay? Everything that's contained within the syllabus. All right, so what is this class that we're taking? And this is my favorite course. One of my degrees is in criminology, so I love teaching criminology. We're going to have a great time. But what is it all about? Well, this course is the study of crime in America, including theories of crime, the causes of criminal behavior, the nature, the extent, and the control and even prevention of crimes. It focuses on the person and the group and even criminal behavior systems. Also, police behavioral responses to criminal activity and its nature and causes. So really, why do people commit crimes? That's kind of one of the coolest questions you can ever ask, right? Because there are so many different possibilities, and we're going to learn about a lot of those possibilities throughout the semester. Next, we have the program learning outcomes, the course learning outcomes, and then finally the course learning objectives. And I'm going to let you look at these at your leisure, at your own pace. I don't need to go through each and every one of these. Okay, so super important would be the textbook. So it's Criminology, the Core, the 7th edition. It's a Cengage published book, and there's the ISBN number should you require it. Again, the book is available at the MSJC bookstores, but I'm sure a lot of you have different avenues to obtain your textbooks, whether it's Chegg or Amazon or directly from the publisher, or it's an electronic version of the book. It's not even an actual book, right? Whatever way works for you. But here's the pitch for the book. There is so much content each chapter that it's very difficult for me to cover every single thing. I do like to keep my video lectures, so it's like lecturing like you're in class, but it's on video, right? It's me lecturing to you. So I like to keep it to around 60 minutes. Sometimes it's one little video, sometimes maybe it's broken into 2 parts, but I like to keep it around 60 minutes. And again, it's hard to get every single bit of content in there. So having that textbook allows you to fill in the blanks to some of the areas maybe I can't get to. And it helps add context to the content. And I hope that really makes sense. So I really kind of advocate that you get some form of the textbook for this particular class. Okay, enough of the textbook. All right. Next, we have the Penal Code. Now, this is not a primary textbook. You don't need to order it. If you have one, that's great, but if you don't, that's okay. Because every once in a while throughout the course, we're going to refer to the California Penal Code, because we're going to talk about different crimes, and we need to know the elements, what makes up the crime, in order to actually make it a crime. So we're going to have to look at that penal code and kind of pick those pieces out of there. So if you have a penal code, that's great. If you don't, you can go to this link right here, legalinfo.gov, and you can look up any California code. So no need to have the penal code, just a bit of information right here. All right, so course check-in. So how do you check into this online class? Well, the course is formatted in weekly modules, and it always opens on a Monday, the module, and it closes on the following Sunday. So this class is going to open on Monday, August 16th at 8 a.m., just like every weekly module will. And during that time, make sure that you check in using the discussion board as your official check-in. And as part of the check-in, you need to complete a short 10-question syllabus quiz. So there's 2 parts to the check-in. Now you're going to have a lot of time. You'll have until Sunday, the 22nd at 11 p.m. to complete this process. Okay, so you have, again, excuse me, from the 16th to the 22nd to get that done. Failure to complete the check-in process will result in you being dropped from the class. And it's not because I'm trying to be mean. It's because typically there is a wait list for this course, and we want to be fair about it. So if you don't check in, you are going to get bumped and someone else is going to take your place. So please make sure that you note that there are 2 parts to the check-in. I will send out a reminder during that week just to make sure that you're aware again, but keep an eye on those due dates, etc. So a little bit more on the class. This is a somewhat fast-paced class with a lot of information. Okay, again, another pitch for the book. You really need to keep up with the chapter readings. Don't just rely on the PowerPoint lectures, the video lectures, etc. to get you through the class. There's a lot of stuff. With that, some of the legal terms may be, difficult at first because you've never heard of them before, right? So at first to understand. So because of that, you're going to need to read the textbook chapters in order to fully understand the content to help add context to the subject matter. In some cases, you might even have to take a minute and look up a word or a term on the internet, the penal code, or a law dictionary. But if you have a problem with any theory, concept, definition, term, whatever, let me know and I will discuss it in the general discussion area. That's called the donut shop, and I'll show you where that is in just a few minutes. So at the end of the day, this is not a super easy class. It's going to require work on your part in order to do well. However, this class is going to be extremely rewarding from all of the knowledge that you're going to gain about crime and criminal activity and those who perpetrate those crimes. It's going to be awesome. Okay, so what are some expectations? Well, let's go through them. So part of the expectations would be that you would participate in a variety of different activities that will achieve those learning objectives that we saw on the first couple of pages of the syllabus, right? So let's take a look at these individually for just a moment. So the first one would be reading the material. So reviewing the PowerPoints, reading the lecture notes or articles or the chapters in your textbook. Number 2 would be reviewing or viewing the weekly videos relating to the chapter. So that could be the weekly lecture video or the case study video, or a lot of times every introduction to a chapter might have a short video to kind of get your juices flowing a little bit. So you're going to want to watch and view those. Number 3 would be participating in what I like to call thoughtful and timely discussions via the discussion board. Number 4, completing the online course matching assessment. These are non-graded, and basically it's key terms. So there'll be a key term and a definition, and you match them together. And this is to help you learn some of the different terminology. And it's very, very helpful, and it's not graded. You can take them as many times as you want. Number 5 would be completing the online and timed quizzes. Number 6, completing the online and timed exams. Number 7, completing your case study. And number 8, completing the midterm writing assignment. And don't panic on number 8. There's an entire module in your course Canvas basically designated for writing your midterm paper. Also this semester, we hope to have back our AJ student tutor, Rita, who's tutored for us several semesters now, and she's fabulous at writing and research, so she will be very helpful if you need help. And once I get her schedule, I will send that out to you as well. But note that failing to participate in these things, the discussion boards, missing quizzes or exams, or failing to turn in other assignments, or even a combination of these, could get you dropped from the class. So what I'm trying to say here is communicate with me if you're going to miss something, so that way I know, okay? But we'll talk a little bit more about missing assignments in a few minutes. But again, do your best to kind of set time aside to complete all of your coursework. So, synchronous meetings. So during this semester, we will have a few opportunities to meet online via Zoom. These meetings are not mandatory, and they will be announced well in advance, so you will have the opportunity to schedule in. And it really is a time for everyone to exchange information, ask questions, or cover major topics like what is the format of my paper supposed to look like? Even though I have that module built into your course that talks about your paper, sometimes we can spend 30 minutes on a synchronous meeting and talk about it a little bit more. So those will be additional times where we can meet and go over those kinds of things. So how do you know that you're ready for an online class? Well, you've already read or heard about the course expectations that I have for you, but you need to make sure that you understand what is expected of an online student. So I have two important links. The first one is to the MSJC online learning page that has a lot of good information to help you be successful as an online learner. Next, I have a link to the same MSJC online learning page, but to the video tutorials that help you walk through and navigate an online class. And again, at the end of this lecture, I'm going to take you into our course Canvas and kind of navigate you around a little bit so you can see what it's like. But these are two really good resources for you. So now let's talk a little bit about Canvas and technology. So you are responsible for your computer equipment and internet connection independent of the college. Okay, so what I'm asking you to do is you need to plan your coursework and be able to accommodate some type of computer or internet related problem. So I'm asking you to have a backup plan. So if Canvas goes down at the college, etc., and it's something on the college end, of course, we'll change deadlines and etc., stuff like that. But on your end, I don't want you just kind of floating there with no ability to get work done. So have a backup plan should something happen with your computer, your internet, etc. So that's just kind of me trying to help you make sure that you stay up with your coursework and you have a plan to deal with some type of issue. Some of the important functions of Canvas would be modules, because this is where your weekly assignments are going to be located. And to help you, I'm going to title each module so you know exactly which week the information is for. So example, module 1 will be titled Week 1. And Week 1, and here we are right here, will contain all the assignments needed to complete Week 1, right? It makes it very simple. So the modules will have the video lectures, the PowerPoints, the links to videos and articles, your exams, your quizzes, your guides, your discussion boards, etc. All of that is in the weekly modules. Now, there'll be other modules for like your case study, your midterm paper, but all of your weekly stuff is in those weekly modules. And the reason for that is to make it easy for you to be able to find everything in one place and not have to move all over the place and navigate through a bunch of different pages trying to find out where all of your work is. And that should be helpful. Next would be discussions. This is where your group discussions will take place on different topics. Announcements. This is where you're going to find announcements for the class, including any relevant information on maybe changes to quizzes, exams, or any other important information like maybe an upcoming job opening or a career fair or a presenter in a face-to-face class that I want you to have the opportunity to come and see. So make sure again that you set up your electronic device to be able to receive these announcements so you can stay on top of all of that important information. Next would be the grade book, and that's important because that's where your grades are. Next would be extra credit, and this is an area where you can find your extra credit assignments, and I'll show you where that area is. Just note that sometimes some of the extra credit assignments might be date specific. So the extra credit assignment that is built into this class already, you have a big gap. It's open at the very beginning when the course starts, and it's not due till like almost the end of the course. But as I put in a couple of other little extra credit assignments, those might have dates. They need to be done between this day and that day. So make sure that when you see those assignments pop up as extra credit, if you're going to do them, make sure you note the dates. All right, so how are we going to learn all this? We've talked a lot about a lot of different things now. Well, we're going to have the lectures, right? The video lectures. There's going to be news articles and photos and visual aids and videos and PowerPoints and class participation, discussions, written assignments, quizzes, and exams. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to learn here. And I just wanted you to know also you are always welcome to attend any in-class presentation from a guest speaker. So if I have, let's say, a homicide detective come into a criminal law class or a criminal investigation course, I will make sure that you know, so that way if you want to attend that particular presentation, you have the opportunity to do so. Academic support, it's available to all students at the LRC or through the help desk. And then again, don't forget about our AJ tutor. Once I get her schedule, her being Rita, who is our wonderful AJ tutor, I will make sure to get all of that information out to you. Please note again, it is your responsibility to monitor Canvas for assignments, etc. Now, because we are an online class, I'm not going to spend a lot of time about conduct, but I do want you to know about something called netiquette. And this is basically network etiquette, kind of like the etiquette of cyberspace or a set of rules for how to behave properly online. An author by the name of Virginia Shea has defined these issues at length in her book called Netiquette, and you can view a summary of her core rules at this particular link right here. And it's not going to answer maybe all of your questions, but it does provide some basic principles. And one of the principles I just want to talk about briefly would be discussion boards. Sometimes we all have different opinions, which is good. If we were all the same, life would be boring. But sometimes we have these controversial topics and we discuss things as adults, etc. And I just want everybody to know that we want to remain professional, and most of all, we want to learn. So being able to read someone else's post and at least understand it and try to take something away from it and be professional about it is great. So I just want us to be professional and know that we're all different and we have different opinions, and that's what makes the world a better place. But that still doesn't mean that you can't disagree, right? You can post on another student's post, hey, that's cool, but what about this? Or, hey, I agree or I don't agree, what about this? That's how discussion boards work. I just want us to be professional in our approach. Enough said. Okay, So next I have a couple of helpful websites. I have a couple of additional ones in your course Canvas that I will show you, but I have the Cornell Law School website and also the United States Supreme Court website. Both are great resources for you to do research and get information. All right, exams and quizzes. This is the fun part, right? Well, probably not really, but here we go. So the quiz and exam questions will come directly from your textbook, lecture videos, PowerPoints, audio lectures, or any other designated article or video that I put in your weekly chapter modules. So basically each week, you're going to have a chapter reading assignment, a video lecture, which is basically me like I'm lecturing in class, but it'll be the PowerPoint with my voice, if you will, kind of like what I'm doing right now. A short 15-question quiz covering the corresponding chapter, and either a discussion topic or what I call a fact or fiction topic. They're kind of the same thing. They're both a discussion, but one is called a discussion topic and the other is a fact or fiction. Anyway, you'll see what I mean. Now, that's just kind of weekly. In addition, throughout the entire course, there are going to be 3 chapter exams, that midterm writing assignment, and a case study. And then don't forget, every week you have those practice modules, right? Or those practice, the key terms, where you can go in there, every module has one, and you can practice and learn key terms by taking these little assessments. And you can do it as many times as you want. A little more on discussion boards. Remember, they are typically reflective in nature. So they're meant to make you think about a certain subject, maybe even think about it enough to research it, consider other perspectives, and then provide a response, make a post. You'll have a total of 15 discussion boards, 1 check-in, and 14 fact or fiction discussion boards, right? So you have 15 total, 14 in 1. Each discussion board is worth up to 10 points. And when responding to the discussion boards, make sure you read the information or watch the corresponding video. Sometimes, and I'll show you what it looks like, I might have a quarter of a few lines of text and then a video and then ask you some questions. And that's what you're going to respond to. Now, when responding to the discussion board, again, watch the video, read the information, but respond with what I call a complete, thought-out response. If you want full point credit for your response, it needs to be 5 sentences in length. Don't just copy a response from another's post. The more focused and thought out your response, the more points you're going to receive for it. Don't just respond with, I agree, tell me what you think. Now, with that said, you can respond to another student's post by saying, I agree, I don't agree, etc. But your first initial post for this discussion that we're talking about, the criteria for full point credit, you have to have 5 sentences. Okay? All right. Case study, again, these are, the assignments are all listed in your course Canvas as well, but I put it in here just so you could see it. Here is a case study where you have 3 different people that you can select from. I even give you the questions I want you to ask. Give you a little bit more information here about how to do it. Your extra credit assignment that is built into this class already, although I might add a few more throughout the semester, is your favorite serial killer, which is really cool. And this one doesn't have to be written. It can be written, you can make a PowerPoint or even a video presentation. So that way you're not writing everything, right? You get some different ways of presenting your stuff, okay, which is actually kind of cool. All right. So just to kind of wrap things up, and we're going to jump into grading, and then we'll jump into the course Canvas really quick. Again, remember, this course follows that weekly modular format. So the PowerPoints, the quizzes, exams, discussions, all that other stuff are in those folders. And it opens, every module opens Monday morning at 8, right here. And then it closes the next Sunday night at 11. So as an example, week 1 here for this class opens Monday the 16th at 8 in the morning. You'll have until Sunday the 22nd at 11 p.m. to do everything in that week 1 module. And you'll see when I show you a little bit, when I show you the course. As a general rule, there are no makeup assignments. Why? Because you have 6 days to get all of your work done, and there really isn't that much work, okay? So, again, I know stuff happens. Life happens, family happens, spouses happen, friends happens, other classes happen, everything happens, right? Stuff happens. So I understand that. Even emergencies happen. All of that stuff is going to be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. I put in here things like jury duty, military deployment, medical emergencies. I understand all of that stuff, and I understand life, okay? So I totally get it. But keep in mind, again, it's your responsibility to make time for completing your work. And this next statement you will hear me say 1,000 times this semester. Do not wait until the last minute. Okay? I will do my best to help you, to remind you of due dates and other information, but ultimately it is your responsibility to know and to plan accordingly. So some helpful hints. 3 main issues I see with online students who have problems. First, the inability to keep track of when assignments are due. You need to be able to pace and self-regulate. That means keeping close track of assignments and due dates and not waiting until the last hour before the module closes. Number 2, thinking that because there are so many little assignments that if I miss a few, it just won't matter. Well, it really does, because missing assignments, they just kind of add up quickly. And really, before you know it, you're behind. If you miss 4 or 5 quizzes out of all the quizzes, you're probably thinking, hey, that's no big deal. That's like 75, 80 points. So yeah, it is kind of a big deal. That's why it's important to stay up to date. All right, get yourself a routine. It's very helpful. And then finally, make sure that you set up whatever electronic device that you're going to be using to receive notifications or important announcements once they're sent out. All right, so let's look at grades. One last real quick note. There are a couple of weeks, a couple of modules where you're not just going to have the quiz and a discussion board, you're also going to have a chapter exam. On those very few times that you have a chapter exam and a quiz, do the quiz first. Because the quizzes are meant for you to learn what's happening in the chapter, and you want to know that before you take the exam that covers the prior chapters, right? That just kind of makes sense. All right, here's the grading scale, pretty self-explanatory, and here's the assignments. So you have 3 chapter exams. They are not cumulative. So an example would be chapter exam 1 might cover chapters 1 through 5. Chapter exam 2 might be 6 through 10. 3 might be 11 through 14 or 15. Make sense? Okay, so they're all independent of each other. So for the chapter 3 exam, you're not going to have questions from chapter 1. And there's a reason that I do it that way, because I want you to learn specifically what we just covered. Here are your discussion boards. There are one for every chapter and a check-in. There's a syllabus quiz, your midterm paper, your chapter quizzes, and your case study for 600 points total. Okay, and I already found one mistake, so I'm going to correct it right in front of you. Your extra credit assignment is 15 points, and I will offer additional extra credit as we go through, but these points aren't listed here. This is totally separate, okay? All right, some important dates I will let you look at, but I do want you to know that if there's anything that I can do to help the course come across clearer anything I can do to help accommodate you, etc., please let me know, because my job is to make you successful in this class. Okay, your written assignment is going to be basically kind of an essay, a case study on Colonel Russell David Williams. All right, and I have I give you a little bit of information about him. It's a super interesting case, and I think you'll find it just awesomely interesting. I give you a little bit of directions. All of this is inside your course Canvas, but I do put it in the syllabus, so that way you have some information about it. Also, remember, there's going to be a couple of synchronous meetings about how to write your paper. There's a whole module on how to write your paper, so don't panic on the paper part, okay? One thing that I do want you to know before we get into the actual course Canvas is plagiarism. So copying a part of a sentence, etc., from a textbook, an article, a news story, another paper, without acknowledging the source or using quotes is plagiarism. So don't panic. You can take parts of other papers, etc., and put it in yours, but if it's not common knowledge, you need to give credit to the author, the source, etc., so you need to cite it, okay? And in that module, in your Canvas shell, I talk about how to do your citations, etc. And then here's some more information on plagiarism. But here is kind of an overview, just quickly, on what your weeks look like. Week 1, these are the dates. You have your check-in, which is your discussion board check-in and your syllabus quiz and going through the orientation pages. Week 2, okay, is chapter 1, talks about crime and criminology. In this module, you have your video lecture, you have your intro, you have all the stuff I'll show you what the pages look like. You have the matching key terms assessment, which is not graded. You have your weekly quiz, and here's your discussion, chapter 1, fact or fiction. And they're all set up very similar. Now remember, we talked about one time you might have a chapter exam. So look at week 6, chapter 5. We're going to talk about something called trait theory. You have the same things. You have your non-graded matching assessment. You have your weekly quiz for chapter 5. So you want to take that first. Then in the same week, you have your first chapter exam, which covers 1 through 5, which is why you want to take your chapter 5 quiz first, right, before you do the exam. It kind of makes sense. So they look very similar, and they're meant to look that way to help you out. There are also here are due dates. Week 13, your midterm paper is due. Go a little bit further down. Week 16, your case study is due. Week 17, your extra credit is due. So hopefully that helps you kind of keep track. But let's now go into the course Canvas. So this is the navigation bar on the left. Now I have more navigation points than you probably do because I'm an instructor, but you can see there's some information on the AJ program, on how, why study criminology. It's actually kind of pretty cool. You can start here by clicking here, and it'll take you to kind of a welcome page, and it talks a little bit about, and you can either keep going by clicking next. Here's a little bit of information about me, and talks about me and stuff like that. But if you go to the module view, you can see how this is laid out. This introduction is your week 1. Now this isn't graded stuff. This is just helpful things for you. Talks about getting started, the textbook, how to be successful, time expectations, study tips, a little bit more on netiquette, a copy of the syllabus, and this review video. And then of course, the course check-in and the quiz, right? So that's like week 1. So, only 2 graded things, right? But it's this right here. I also have a module on how to access Zoom, how to access or view the Criminal Justice Club Facebook, some really cool websites, the Bill of Rights, right? The amendments, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, the different court systems. This is the module on your midterm writing assignment. There's a video lecture on how to write your paper. This is just the PowerPoint. So if you don't want to hear me narrate it, here's just the slides. This is your actual assignment. Here's how to upload your essay. Here's information on the AJ tutor, which will be Rita. Here's your case study. Here's your extra credit assignment, and then here's extra credit opportunities that I will post throughout the semester. What I wanted to show you is what a weekly module looks like. It's all together. Overview, intro, kind of the video lecture, the PowerPoint. So let's look at this just really quick so you can see. Here's an overview. Crime and criminology is your first part of the chapter. So it just tells you, here's some things that you're going to learn, okay? You click next. Here's the introduction. Talks a little bit about, what the chapter's like, etc. And it gives you a little bit of information on the San Bernardino terrorism incident. And then a couple of videos that I wanted you to watch, okay? And these aren't mandatory. This is just to get your juices flowing, but it's very helpful. Then you have the video lecture. This is the lecture for your course. Sometimes there's one video, sometimes there's two. It depends how much content is in the chapter. I like to keep my lectures to 60 minutes, so it could be 2 30 minutes, it could be a 40 and a 20, or it could just be one video. All right? So this would be the lecture video that you would watch that covers the chapter. If you don't want to hear me speak, this is the PowerPoint. Without me talking, just the PowerPoint if you just want to look at the slides. Here's the self-assessment. So this is that practice exercise on key terms. Remember I talked about that. Here's your quiz. Quizzes you can take twice and it'll keep your highest score. Exams you can only take once. So do good on the quizzes and you'll be fine. And then here's your discussion question. And here there's a video that I want you to watch, and it talks about the question. And then something kind of new that I want to try, which I did last semester, is that typically before, when students would post their discussion response, I would respond individually to each student. So last semester I tried something new where I basically looked at and took information from all the students' posts, and I did like a wrap-up video and talked about, I actually went in and took a few posts that people posted and talked about them and kind of did a consensus on what people were talking about. It was like 4 or 5 minutes, not a really long one, but the students actually liked that. So we may try it, we may not, but I wanted you to know that that's what this is. And as we go in the semester, maybe we'll try a couple of these. And then you're done. So that's really what, if you go, page by page, that's what it looks like. And they're all, again, they're built the same. Week 2, week 3, same exact format. Everything you need is in there except the midterm writing assignment, the case study, and the extra credit. They have their own little modules. All right? And then finally, if you want to post something just general, like a general discussion post, you can go to the donut shop. This is the general discussion board area where you can post anything here, and myself or another student can answer, etc. And yeah, you can either I'll answer, another student will answer, or what have you. You can always go to the discussion links if you want. And then I have one last thing to show you. It's called the squad car. I don't monitor this area. This is for you as students. If you just want to talk student to student, you can go here. I typically don't monitor this for a reason, for you to talk back and forth. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I like to keep again, stuff, especially these particular syllabus reviews, to around 45 minutes, and I think I barely just made it. With that being said, though, that will conclude our syllabus review for AJ112. Introduction to Criminology. It's going to be a great semester. I look forward to learning with all of you and teaching you my favorite subject, which is criminology. So until the semester starts, we'll be communicating more, but that will conclude our review for today.